Greetings to the dark wizards who practice React Native. My name is Parshuram and I come from the mountains of the Great North. I come from a town that's pretty close to the borders of these lands, and I bring you a message. Oh no, not that message. I mean, winter is not coming, it's coming in 6 months, but it's still like nice and warm and sunny when I left Seattle last Friday. And knowing Seattle's weather, the fact that it is not raining, it probably calls for celebration. So I'm not here to talk about the weather. I'm actually here to talk to you guys about React Native. And when I'm not traveling on these journeys and adventures, back in Seattle, I work at this company that doesn't do too much with walls, but it's actually more into like windows. It's been building all types of windows of all shapes and sizes, and windows that you hate, windows that you love, windows that don't shut and just fall and crash and sometimes work well. If you're guessing it, yes, I do work for Microsoft. And at Microsoft, I work as a program manager on the team that builds developer tools for React and React Native applications. And here I am to talk to you guys about React Native 0 to the king of DevOps. And I promise this is the last time I'm referencing Game of Thrones. You guys might have also noticed that through the slides I had like a good animation that started, but then right here is a picture badly photoshopped in MS Paint. Like you even see the background. Don't blame me, blame the after party last night, the awesome dinner and the karaoke and the drinks that I took back home. So anyway, I'm going to be talking to you guys about React Native 0 to DevOps, and my name is Parshuram and that's my Twitter handle. So the thing that I love about React Native is the fact that it's a great way to develop mobile applications. The fact that it's native, as in it gives you buttery smooth user experience, all combined with the fact that all the business logic and all the code that you write is written with React. Now that's actually pretty neat. In fact, all of this React runs in a JavaScript engine, and as the Ken Wheeler said, this is basically your app browser, right? So that's basically what React Native is. And me as a web developer, I like this environment a lot more, primarily because it feels like I'm just doing web development. I mean, for that matter, I even have a packager. I started the packager and everything just seems to work. Oh no, I mean, just ignore that. Pretend that didn't happen, okay? So everything just seems to work. And as all of you may already know, a packager is basically that magical thing that picks up all of the source code from your application, puts it, combines it, minifies it, does a bunch of things, and delivers it to the JavaScript core. Now, when I was playing around with it, we realized why make the packager send data to the phone directly? Because you can choose not to do it, right? So what we figured out is, hey, why not put a cloud in the middle? Because everything needs to be on the cloud. And whenever you have changes or whenever you have code changes, send it to the cloud and then send it to the packager. It's like this temporary cache kind of a thing. And the good thing here is, as you keep making changes, you can immediately start sending them to your phones. And this is better because in this way, you're able to update your applications on your iOS devices and Android devices instantly. And guess what? That's actually called CodePush. How many of you here have heard of CodePush? How many of you here use CodePush? Awesome. So, it's surprising that it's not as many, but it's still much more than what I expected. So that's basically what CodePush is. And while we were working on CodePush, what we noticed was app distribution is just one of the things that you do once you have written your application. The part of DevOps involves many more things. It's like it's building your application on every commit. It's pretending to write tests. It is signing. In fact, signing is even harder because, to be honest, I can't even sign documents properly. It's been ages since I've touched a pen, leave alone signing applications. But all of these are actually hard problems, and you as developers do not want to deal with this. These are not just the only things. You also want to think about things like push notifications and authentication and crash reporting and storage and so many other things, right? So while we were developing CodePush, we figured out, hey, why not we also bring in all of these other services? So we put them together and we created this tool called MobileCenter. MobileCenter is this one-stop shop to do all of the DevOps related work that you would want for your mobile applications, typically for React Native. Now, I know the name is Visual Studio Mobile Center and the URL is mobile.azure.com, which is a little bit confusing. People have actually come to me and told me, called it like Mobile Hub, Visual Center, someone even called it the thing, but I'm just going to call MobileCenter through the presentation. So that's what MobileCenter is, and MobileCenter is a way for you to deliver apps that your developers love. And that's pretty much all the slides I had, and I'm going to take a little bold step and see if I can do a live demo. So here's the thing with a live demo. Whiteboard interviews are scary because you just write code and then it's hard. A live demo is scarier because it's like how many 200 whiteboard interviews sitting right in front of you. So my request, if I go wrong, please do help me and help me fix this stuff. The title of the slide was React Native 0 to DevOps. I wanted to start at 0 and say React Native init, but I was not sure about the Wi-Fi, so I cheated a little bit and I just said React Native init already. And I have my React Native application. I'm going to open it up in an editor, and here's the index.ios and index.android files. What I'm also going to do is, while I'm doing it, I'm going to set up my continuous integration system already. And the reason I wanted to get it out of the way is because I, as a developer, want to think about my application. I do not want to think about CI, I do not want to think about signing, etc. So what I would do is, we can go to mobile.azure.corp and sign up with GitHub. So I'm going to do that. The internet is going to be slow because of a live demo. Okay, so I already also I cheated a little more and created an iOS app, but let me go ahead and create an Android app. So I'm going to go here and say add a new app. I'm going to call it Android-jokes app. It's going to be Android, and as you can see, MobileCenter supports React Native as a first-class citizen. And as a result, you have tons of features that are very, very specific to MobileCenter. I'm going to create this new application, and once this application is ready, you will be able to see the different services that MobileCenter can offer. Now, for all of you who already use CodePush, if you look at distribute, CodePush is now integrated into MobileCenter. So this way, you actually you don't have to deal just with the CLI, you even have like a good looking user interface. So I'm going to go to CodePush and start a CodePush, just create a new deployment for CodePush. The other thing that I want to do is, because this is a live demo, I thought I'll also tune it up a notch, and rather than just doing live demo, I'm also going to see if I can distribute the app that I built to you guys. So I know it's scary. I was literally shaking backstage, but okay, so I'm going to call this group testers, and I'm going to make it a public group so that I can give you guys a URL and then you can go and use it on your Android and your iOS devices. I'm going to create that. And then I'm going to go start adding all of these SDKs. So I'm going to say yarn add the SDKs. This is going to take a while and eventually download. Oh wow, that was fast. It's going to add all of this. And once I've done the npm install or yarn add, I have to go and link my native folder. So I'm going to say React Native link. And once I say React Native link, it's going to add my analytics SDK, my crashes SDK. And the first thing I need is my Android app secret. This is something that just identifies my app. So it's going to add up all of these. It's asking for my iOS app secret. And just like CodePush, MobileCenter also has a CLI. So what I can do is I can use the CLI to get the iOS app secret. And that is my iOS app secret. And it's a secret, so shh. There you go. So that's the secret on the stage. And this is going ahead and doing all of the installation procedures where it effectively uses CocoaPods to install the native dependencies, and quite frankly, I as a React Native developer have no idea what's happening. I'm just letting React Native link take care of all of this. And thanks a lot for Mike and others to come up with RNPM, because installing stuff is super simple. It's now asking me for my CodePush key for Android, and though CodePush is now integrated into MobileCenter, there are no changes to CodePush itself. You can still continue using your using your CLI just as you always did. Probably should increase the font, shouldn't I? So there, that's my Android key. I'm also going to, it's eventually going to ask me for my iOS key, so let me just get that right away. Push, deployment, ls iOS. So there, I've added my Android key. I'm going to go back and copy my iOS key. And with this, if I say git status, look at all the files that it added. I'm so glad I didn't have to go add these manually. However, if you do not use CocoaPods and if you want to use Carthage or some of the other, or just want to do it manually, you should be able to do it. It's not that hard. It's just that I'm not an iOS or an Android developer, so I just would prefer React Native to do it all for me. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is actually build an application. So I'm going to open up the editor and start building it. So I initially thought I'll ask you guys what to build. So what do you think should I build? Someone said hello world, it's too simple. Better ideas. Facebook, okay, hello world. Facebook, I mean, they're $60 million, but you know what, I'm just going to pick something in the middle.
A blogging app.
A blogging app, that's still hard. You know what, I prepared for this talk, so I'm just going to build a jokes app. I'm sorry, but here's what I'm going to do. The first thing is, I'm going to move all of my business logic inside an app folder here. That way I just have to write business code once. So I'm going to delete all of these things. And because it's a joke app, all it's going to do is, it's big enough here. All it's going to say is this.state.joke. And then here I'm going to define a state and use my super fast typing speed and get all of the methods automatically in. And what's going to happen is every time you touch a joke, a new joke is going to show up. So I'm going to add the touchable highlight on press this.fetch joke, that's what it's called. Oh no, this, then close it. The other thing is, because I added analytics, let me just add a tracking thing also. I'm kind of curious how many people click jokes and how many people add new jokes. So I'm just going to call the track method every time someone adds a joke, and I have to import analytics for it from MobileCenter. What's it called? MobileCenter Analytics. Thank you, VS Code. And then delete this guy. So this is my simple, super simple application that shows up new jokes. The other thing I'm going to do is, because now I have my component there, I don't want it in my index.android or index.ios.js. So I'm going to get rid of all of this extra stuff, delete it, and let me import the app. And while I'm doing it, I'm also going to add CodePush to it. I mean, why not, right? What are you going to lose? So I'm going to add CodePush to it just in case I do anything wrong, and just in case I want to add something. The other thing is, MobileCenter also lets you do push notifications. So let's go ahead and add that. More features. So here's my application right now, and you know what? I'm going to add this thing where whenever I send a push notification, I want to do a CodePush.sync. In a way, till now CodePush was not really CodePush, but more like code pull, because you had to actually pull for it. But now that you have push notifications, this is in a way pull, because you're actually going to be sending push notifications, and on the callback of my push notifications, I'm going to call CodePush.sync. So Control C. Control V, and that's my index.ios and index.android. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm also going to pretend like I'm writing tests. So I'm going to delete this guy and just say my main component is at this location, and I'm going to just leave it at this, I guess. Okay, so that's basically my app. Let me go to GitHub and create a new repository for it. Let's call it Jokes app. For chain React, and let's say create repository. So I'm going to say git status git add dot git commit -m all the code. Please do not do this with your git messages. I've had multiple instances where I've done this and I've got burned, so please do not. Git push origin master, enter. Okay, so this is pushing up all of my code to MobileCenter. You know what, I wrote all this code, but I didn't even run it once. I'm a little bit scared. Let me see if it even works. I mean, let me just build it just in case. So yeah. Anyway, so if I refresh this, all of my code is here, which is good. And then I'm going to go into MobileCenter and set up my continuous integration. Now what I want to do is, I'm going to select my repository and my branch, and every single time I make a push, make like any code commit, I want to build it so that I can ensure that it actually works. So I'm just going to go ahead and configure my build, and this is the React Native part of MobileCenter. Because it is React Native, we automatically detect where your package.json is. You can actually run all of the jest tests if you want. If you've actually really written tests, you can run them. You can sign your builds, and signing builds is actually super simple. You don't even have to remember to change anything in Gradle. All you have to do is upload your keystore file, which was here, type in the password. So creating a keystore is super simple. It just uses the keygen tool, and you just store it in a secure location and you upload it here, and that's pretty much it. So I did type in the password. I will come back to talking about testing on a real device in a while, but let me go ahead and distribute this and send it to all the testers, which is you guys. And then why not have a status badge, right? I mean, it will be cool to put it on my GitHub page. So let's do that and hit save. So this is now going to kick off a build. While it is doing, so there the build is queued and it's eventually going to start. And while it is doing that, let me go ahead into my iOS app and show you what I did for my build there. So the build was already set up and I'd set it up manually, but effectively what it does is the build is pretty much the same thing. All I needed to do here was a provisioning profile and a certificate, which I can download at developer.apple.com, and the configuration is super simple. You don't have to do a lot of things. In fact, what I can do is, because this was manual, I can actually just say build now and this is going to start building it. So there you go, it starts building my application. So both my Android application and my iOS application are building, and hopefully in the next 10 minutes they finish building so that you guys have the application in your hands. But while it is doing it, let me talk about the feature that I said I will get to, which is testing. So I know I didn't write any unit tests, but more important than unit tests are the situations where you at least want to do like minimal amount of usability testing. So what I'm going to do with MobileCenter is say start testing my application, and here you have a device farm on the cloud, and this way you don't have to own any of these devices. There are like tons of devices that you can see on MobileCenter. And for this, because this is a stage demo, I'm just going to pick the latest one because I tested it and it works only on this one. So I'm going to select this device, and right now the options you have for test frameworks are Appium, Calabash, Espresso, and Xamarin Test UI. I know that these are not React Native specific yet, but I'm experimenting with Detox and using something like Enzyme to start writing React Native integration tests. But till that is actually a real product, and till that's not in my local development machine, I'm just going to pick Appium and get started with it. Now writing Appium tests is super simple. All I have to do is install my MobileCenter CLI, which I already have done, and then bootstrap a project. So I already did that also, and when I bootstrap the project, here's what I get. So this is the single Java file that's generated, and do not be scared, it's just a very simple Java file. All it does is it has two tests. The first one is something that gets called by default, and all it does is it launches the app, waits for 10 seconds, and then takes a picture saying app has launched and takes a screenshot of that app. And because I would be running it on multiple devices, I'll just get a screenshot of my first page on multiple devices. What I also did is I also wanted to randomly click on buttons, so I created this other test called tap random buttons. What it does is it tries to find an Android text view, and this is where I think there is scope for improvement, where we can make it React Native specific. Rather than trying to find an Android text view, I just want to find a React Native text view, and that's what I'm working on. But for now, let's just find an Android text view. It's going to find one, and if it doesn't have any thing, it's going to return it. But if it does find a button, it's going to click on it, sleep for 3 seconds, and then take a picture and says, hey, I've tapped on a Joe. So it's like a super simple test case, just keeps clicking tap, 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 that's it. So the best way to run this is using MobileCenter's CLI, and as they say here, just run this and run this. So I'm going to run my maven thing that I copied right now. So it's this, which is what they told me to run, so that my tests are compiled. And if this is going to be in JavaScript, you wouldn't even have to do this step, right? And that's what I'm looking at. So this is the first thing. The second thing is upload my tests to the cloud so that they run on the devices on the cloud. And that's going to run using this long command, which you do not have to remember because it's already like written here. So you have all the documentation, so you don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to do this, and it's going to compile and then start uploading these files and validating them. So here I'm done, and I just have to wait for my tests to complete. So the test has uploaded, which means if I refresh this screen should show up. Okay, good. And now it's going to try and wait for the test to complete. I'm just going to kill this because it's probably going to take forever. And let me show you what the test results look like, because I already ran the test for an iOS application. So if I go to my iOS app, look at the test, you can see that I had run 2 tests, the tap random buttons test and the tap app launch test. If I click on tap random button test, you actually see that I was tapping on the buttons. Every time I tap on the button, here's the screenshot that shows a new joke. It also gives me what my memory and CPU usage is and what the duration is. So kind of gives me performance metrics, and this is using Appium, but imagine being able to do this in JavaScript, and Appium kind of supports JavaScript, and that's what we are looking at, and that's where we are heading towards. Okay, so it's almost, I just have 10 more minutes, and let's see if I can actually, if my build is done and I can distribute it to you guys. So it's building. It's, where is it? How far has it gone? You know what? I'm not going to take the risk of waiting it to build for another 5 minutes. So I'm going to take a shortcut here. I'm going to cheat a little bit. And what I'm going to do is go to releases and, whoa, looks like I messed up something. Okay, I already had a pre-built version of this. So what I'm going to do is live demos, right? So what I'm going to do is a backup for a backup for a backup. That's what I've learned. So because it failed here, I already had an APK that I had downloaded previously from MobileCenter. So I'm just going to pick that up and give it to you guys. So it's uploading the APK. And then as soon as the APK is done uploading, there you go. I'm going to say next. I'm going to say, my bad, totally my bad. But I'm going to go and distribute it to the testers group. And this is where you guys come in. So what I want you to help me with right now is go to this URL called, take out your phones. How many of you here have an Android phone? Good. How many of you have an iOS phone? How many of you here have a Windows phone? Anyway, so I want you guys to go to this URL, and there are two links, one for the Android, the other one for the iOS. If you have an iOS device, do not click on the Android phone, it won't work, obviously. So here are two links. Click on one of them, and let me actually open up QuickTime. So here's the phone that I have, and I'm going to do the same thing. I have an iOS device, so I'm going to click on the iOS link, and you can download the app. What I'm also going to do is, if you guys are interested in actually looking at what configuration was there inside MobileCenter, enter your email address here. I wrote an app script, Google Apps script, that automatically takes that email address and sends you an invite. So once you get an invite, you can actually be invited into this application, and you can actually play around with this. So if you want, you can also enter your email address, but for now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go here and go to Safari, go to aka.ms, click on my Android version, so iOS version. So the phone is right there at the corner. That's what I have here. And I'm going to say install. It's going to ask for my installation. I'm going to go ahead and install it. Go back to the home screen. It's going to take a while, but eventually it will install. Open it. The first time it won't open because I have to trust the certificate. There's something similar for Android. You have to trust the device from unknown sources. Ensure that you do that. So for iOS, it's device management and trust this guy. For Android, it's settings and install from unknown sources. So I have this, and I click on the app, and there it is, my app. And hey, guess what? Push notifications is also working. It asks me if I want to send pushes. Allow? So nice. How many of you were able to download it? Oh, good. Okay, nice. So let's get started. Tap here for a joke. So ready for the first joke? Yeah. What? Wait, what? Hey, you know what? We have crash reporting, right? We enabled that, didn't we? So let's go back to our iOS app and look at what the crash report was. And not only do you see your native crash, you also see your JavaScript stack trace here. And this is your full JavaScript stack trace, which is going to be super useful to detect fatal crashes like this. So index.js, line number 19, okay. So it is index.js, line number 19. Someone there has better crash reporting than MobileCenter. They already fixed the bug. So they said it's supposed to be this track. Yes, that's true, because track is a member variable, right? Thank you. So, okay. I fixed this, but I don't want to go through another build, right? I mean, build takes 10 minutes. App Store probably takes much more than 10 minutes. So guess what? We also installed CodePush, didn't we? Let's use that. CodePush, release React. Actually, you know what? Let me see if I made the change. I have, okay. CodePush, release React. I'm going to release the Android app. And while I'm doing that, what I'm also going to do is start sending push notifications. Now the thing with push notifications is you may not immediately receive them because that's what is the nature of push notifications, but it's just a way of telling you people that, hey, so here's where I'm setting up push notifications. I installed all of these. I have done React Native Link. React Native Link already takes care of all of this for me. So all I need to do is get the server key. So I'm going to go into Google Cloud Messaging, copy my server key, and paste it here. And as I was saying, push notifications is a way to just tell people, hey, something is coming. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say send notification and say, my bad, oops, I messed up, new code push update coming. And what should happen is as soon as you guys receive the push notification, CodePush.sync will start up, it'll pick up the code push changes and instantly have changes, and it's like you're writing a website, isn't it? The other thing is I can do things like add custom data. In this case, I'm going to say sound is default so that all of your phones start buzzing immediately. But the other good thing is if you notice, you can either send it to all the devices that are registered, or I can just send it to a specific audience. And the advantage of sending to an audience is I can basically pick based on a bunch of these rules. And this combined with CodePush will let me do A/B testing with CodePush. Imagine a world where with CodePush, you deploy like just to people in one carrier, one mobile carrier or one device model, like roll out CodePush changes, and that's one of the reasons why CodePush is integrated with MobileCenter. So I'm just going to send it to everyone, and there you go, send notification. And while that happens, let me also push the iOS changes. So CodePush release React, iOS. So this is also going to take some time, but it'll eventually get in, and hopefully you should be able to use the apps perfectly. Now while that is happening, let's go take a look at how many of you actually install the application. So the iOS people, I'm going to go into my analytics, and 35 people, so the analytics is almost real time, and looks like there are 35 phones who have already installed it. I can see things like what are the models of the phone, what is the session duration. Though the jokes were not working, someone really was on the app for 10 seconds. Thank you. That's respect, but I was not sure what you were doing. And there is one Canadian who's using it and one from Costa Rica, but everyone else is in the US. There are people from none, I don't know why. And anyway, so you get the point. These are all the analytics that you get. And CodePush is done. So let me go back to my phone and crash this app again and start it up. The next time I start, it'll ask me, do I want to update, install this update because it's CodePush. I'm going to say yes. The CodePush app update happened, and jokes. And now that MobileCenter is in CodePush, you actually can see the statistics of CodePush right inside MobileCenter. And eventually you will be able to see the crash. So the crash that I had, if MobileCenter crashed, today it just rolls back. But because now it's a part of MobileCenter, you'll be able to see not just CodePush rollbacks, but also the reason for the rollbacks in the crashes. 1 more minute left, so let me quickly go back to the slides. And hopefully you guys were able to look at the app and enjoyed the next billion-dollar app, but I need to get back to the demo. So what we saw through this really risky, failed live demo was continuous builds. Every time you push, your app is building. Distribution, CodePush, crash reporting, push notifications, and testing. And I'm actually excited about the future because now that CodePush is a part of MobileCenter, the number of things that you can do kind of increases. You can actually do CodePush with distribution, so you don't have to worry about hockey app distribution versus CodePush. During the build process, we'll be able to figure out if you need to deploy it to the store or if you need to deploy it just to do a CodePush update. So all of that can be taken care of as a part of the build. You can do A/B testing. Should this button be yellow or green? Should it be a button or should it be text? You can do those kind of tests with CodePush, and it's going to be like you're building websites pretty much. We are also working on React Native specific integration testing, using something like Detox or Enzyme, making testing much easier and accessible. And finally, data storage. So we do have solutions for data storage, identity, and authentication. It was 30 minutes. I didn't have time to show off all of that, but all of this is definitely possible. I'm going to be hanging out here through the day. If you have a React Native application, or if you are a React Native library author and have a React Native application that has a sample application, come talk to me. MobileCenter is free. You also get that pretty little GitHub badge. I'll help you set it up and it shouldn't take more than 15 minutes. That's pretty much all I had for the demo. Thank you, and I hope you love this app and you never uninstall it from your phones.